All right.
We'll see what happens with this. It's still kind of counting down,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure exactly when that's gonna pop up.
Oh,
Oh,
there we go.
let's see.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah, the sound is working. Howdy, folks.
Hello.
I'm Brian,
I'm Amber.
and so far, here's some Reddit.
Yes, Brian's face is covered by words. I'll scooch over
Oh
so he
yeah,
can.
my face is covered by words. So here's our first story. Let's see who's in the chat room so far here. Jot. Hey, Jot.
Hello.
All right. So
We started a couple minutes early to make sure the audio was fine and that we didn't run into issues like last time with the stream being unlisted. So.
yeah, well, that was a huge issue. It was like the stream was private, everything was unlisted, cats and dogs were living together. It was mayhem. So that's why we got started just a minute early. And
We'll start reading once the time starts. We just want to make sure everything's going
yeah,
smoothly.
yeah. Where's the joke book?
Oh, that's a good question.
Amber has stolen the joke book, folks. You're revealing the
There.
other dimension.
Oh no! I'll fix it in a second. I just had to find the joke book for you. You cannot see the other dimension.
There. And yeah, I guess let's get started since we are now basically at time. So
6 seconds.
yeah, we got 6 seconds, but we'll go forward. We'll go forward. We'll see. Oh, and I can also probably see who the participants are. Okay, just John so far. So let's get started. All right. Our first letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for telling my husband to stop disrespecting our surrogate?" I'm a 34-year-old female, and my husband is a 37-year-old male, and he suffered from infertility problems. We recently decided to get a surrogate who's a friend of a friend. We were busy getting everything done legally. We had already a contract in place. My egg was used. No worries in this regard. Plus, our surrogate is respectful, kind of woman who's been keeping her part of the contract intact. But it's Hunter who started to act strange. I've noticed that he's been focusing all of his attention on the surrogate, like skipping work to visit her or get her things she didn't ask for, chat with her all the time on social media, and constantly offering to do things for her like drive her to places and sometimes even invite her out or offer to repair stuff for her. She's complained to me about this and even told me about things that he's been doing and I didn't even know about, like bringing her gifts. I tried speaking to him about what this looks like, but he says he's not doing anything wrong and he's just doing this for his son and not her. I still asked that he tone it down and respect the woman's space. He got mad at me and accused me of being jealous of the woman who's carrying my own child and said that this makes me look bad. I think that's kind of flipping the script
Yeah.
there. I said our surrogate was the one who complained about his behavior, and he said that it wasn't true. Apparently, this made him somewhat angry, so I gave him time to cool down a bit. Yesterday, our surrogate called me saying that Hunter came over and told her guests to leave. I asked why, and she said that he wanted to show her the $9,000 car he bought for her. $9,000. I was shocked. She said that she declined the car and asked him to leave, but he started arguing about her using the public transportation and risking our baby's well-being. I was fuming. I called him demanding that he get home, and he did eventually. Once he got back, I picked up a fight with him and yelled at him, saying that he's been nothing but overstepping, disrespectful and inappropriate towards our surrogate. Again, he explained the car wasn't for her. It's not for her. It's to keep the baby safe. I told him, he ranted about how he was just trying to make this work and that I should do the same, if not more. He even accused me of not loving our son as much as he does, but this isn't the way of putting $9,000 for a car without even telling me. He left the house for a while and came back and refused to speak to me. I might have been hard on him. He might have just been oblivious, so I'm less sure about seeing his reaction now. So, am I the jerk?
All right, folks, what do you think?
All right, folks. Yeah, what do you think?
I stole Brian's line. I'm gonna go with OP is definitely not the jerk. Like, the surrogate made it very clear that she did not want these things.
Yeah,
And when
exactly.
someone says they don't want these things, you don't do these things for
Exactly.
them. Like, and this behavior is really like creepy.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
buying a $9,000 car for someone without like it sounds like they have joint finances. So he just took $9,000 out of
Yeah, out of their joint account
and
to basically buy
like,
off this
even if
surrogate.
they have separate finances, like $9,000 is still a lot of money to spend without telling your partner. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it definitely sounds like he's either like really like falling for the surrogate,
Yeah,
or just like trying to control her in some way.
yeah. And Alan says, dude is overstepping the surrogate. Simping over the surrogate. Simping.
Yeah.
The words are small on the screen. Yeah, I mean, I agree on that. It really does seem like he's like, totally going over her and just like, trying to like fawn over her. It's just really ridiculous.
Yeah. So yeah, not in the wrong for shutting this down.
Yeah, it just seems really, really like a huge boundary violation here and just not good at all. All right. So I guess we'll probably move on to the next story here.
Our next letter is, am I the jerk for forcing my husband to teach my daughter husband duties? My daughter is a 14-year-old female, and she's always been a tomboy and prefers doing traditionally male activities. She likes skiing, hockey, hiking, and video games. It's been a pain point between her and her father, my husband. He wants her to be more ladylike, and she does things to intentionally annoy him, like refusing to wear dresses or going to a sleepover and coming back with a short haircut. My husband and my son are starting renovating the house, and my daughter asked to join. My husband is absolutely against it, saying she could strain herself or get hurt. She's already taken woodworking in her classes, and she's more responsible than my son. If anyone is losing a digit from the saw, it's more likely him. I argued with my husband, telling him she will probably be a homeowner one day, and knowing how to do basic things around the house is important. He argues she will have her husband do all those things. I got angry because my dad was the same way. He was a mechanic but didn't teach me anything about cars because my husband/boyfriend would do it for me, and girls don't need to know it. Guess who gets stuck with a flat tire and no data in the middle of the woods? A 19-year-old me, and it was terrible. I put my foot down and forced him to include our daughter, teaching her how to change a ceiling light and use basic tools. He maintains it's not necessary to teach her how to do these things, and she is making them slower on finishing the house, and I'd rather they be slow and teach her. It's not like they're in a rush.
Yeah, I mean, what do you folks think? Jerk or not the jerk in this situation?
I'm going to say that OP is not the jerk here. Like, knowing how to fix things is good life skills for anyone.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And that's just it. It's like you don't necessarily if they were forcing her to learn this stuff and she just had no interest in it, that would be one thing. But she's shown like an active interest in these, skills, and there's no reason to discourage someone from basically, pursuing skills, right?
Exactly. Well, and like it's also pretty presumptuous to assume that she's going to have like a husband or boyfriend at all times to like do these things for her. Like, even if like that was like we were in a world where like it was like that's not even the world we live in anymore.
Exactly.
Like, people of any gender can like do house like repair stuff. But, like,
Exactly. And Alan says, really, it's 2022. Can't we put this crap behind us finally?
That would be nice.
Yeah. And that's just it. It's like, this is
baffling to me. Like, my dad was the opposite. He was like, you should know how to fix a car type of person. But then I didn't, like, he didn't know how to drive, and he was not happy about that. But, like, again, like, these are good life skills for anyone to have.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being self-sufficient. Self-sufficiency is not a masculine or feminine trait here. It just is completely one of those things where everyone should have some level of self-sufficiency. It's important to know how to do certain things. But again, like, I don't think there was anything wrong with OP insisting that they teach them this stuff. All right. Our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Not Letting My Sister and Nephew into my car? My sister, a 34-year-old female, and my nephew, a 7-year-old male, came from Utah to Cali to visit me and my boyfriend. They said that they wanted to see some national parks, so we drove to Death Valley and was going to do some hiking. We hiked for a few hours, and my nephew was exploring around. I wasn't watching him until he came over and showed my sister a few rocks. I went to see what he had found, and he had found some fossils with preserved clams looking like things inside. I told him that it was illegal to remove fossils from the park and told him to put them back where he found them. He started getting upset and said that he found them, so he should be able to keep them. She kept saying that he was into fossils and he just wanted to keep them as souvenirs. My sister defended him, saying that it wasn't a big deal and no one would find out, and I thought it was insane that she would correct him, but my sister was always babied and my nephew always babied my nephew, and he's the only child and that survived from 4 pregnancies. I told her that he has to put it back or we are not leaving. She got angry, arguing that it wasn't a big deal. We got back to the car and I locked the doors, telling my nephew that we are staying here until he puts the things back. He started crying and my sister hugged him and tried to console him. My sister then kicked my car repeatedly, oh that's the way to win them over, and yelled and screamed at me through the car. After 30 minutes, he gave up and put the fossils back on the ground. I let them in, and my sister spent the rest of the car ride saying that I don't have kids, so I don't understand how a few missing rocks would make any difference, so I was overreacting. All right, folks, what do you think of this one? Jerk or not the jerk?
I'm gonna say OP is not the jerk here. Anytime someone tries to tell you to do illegal activities, like, it's fine to say no to that usually.
Yeah, well, the thing is that OP would have been put at risk for having fossils in their car. Say they were pulled
Right.
over for some reason and then the cops saw them or something like that.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe that's like an overreach here, but it's still, if there's a policy, it's good to be a good Samaritan and not, I think, take
Right.
fossils when you're not supposed to.
Well, it may be a small risk, but it's never like a completely negligible risk.
Yeah.
And also, like, if everyone like took fossils, then there wouldn't be any in the parks for people to see. Like, that's
Yeah,
why they have
exactly.
these policies in place.
Yeah. And Alan says, not the jerk, it's a liability issue.
Exactly. Like, OP does not want to be caught up if these fossils are found in this mess, and like it's completely well within her right to be like, yeah, I'm not gonna transport your fossils for you.
Yeah, and Alan also says, also, that kid needs to be disciplined.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing, is it's important for kids to learn
Yeah.
no. Like, you can't do everything you want.
Yeah, kids need to be told no every once in a while. It's healthy to tell a kid no. As cute as they look sometimes, you gotta be like, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that. You can't steal these fossils out of the park because then other people can't enjoy them. And that's just the way life is. People are going to be disappointed, and it's good for kids to develop the skills to cope with that disappointment early on in life instead of being told that they can have everything.
Yes, well, and we see a lot of stories on this subreddit where these kids are not told and issues bigger than this ensue.
Exactly.
Our next story is, am I the jerk for replying to a coworker's inappropriate text by work email and attaching them? One of my coworkers, who I had thought was friendly, but that was it, he's married, sent me some inappropriate text at like 3 a.m. on St. Patrick's Day weekend, asking me to come over and have some fun, and saying he had been into me for a while and knew I felt the same. I'm a lesbian, but I'm not out at work. He also sent me a naked selfie that luckily cut off right before you know what, but it was close. When I saw them, I was out with friends and was like, okay, this is a Monday problem. I have a really strict rule with myself that I don't do work, think about work, or answer messages about work outside of 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I also don't use my personal phone for work stuff. If someone from work calls or texts and it's not one of the coworkers I see as a close friend and trust to not talk shop on the weekends, I'm not answering. And I included dealing with this guy as a workday problem, so I ignored his message. He sent me several texts later, first saying he was sorry he was drunk, then saying he hadn't said it how he wanted to, but he was still into me and had a feeling I felt the same. On Monday, I wrote him an email on the work email saying, "Hi, coworker. I'm writing to follow up on your messages from the prior several days. See attached. Please only contact me through work channels during regular business hours. I do not use my personal number with colleagues. Additionally, I found the content of your messages unwelcome and inappropriate. Please only contact me regarding work OP." I didn't send the email to HR, but I did blind CC my personal email so I'd have a copy just in case. And he got really mad. He texted me back saying I had crossed the line attaching his picture to a work email. Was I trying to get him fired? I screenshotted that text too and attached it to an additional email saying, "As for my prior email, please only contact me about work matters and only on my business email or Slack." He stopped texting me, but he came to my desk to speak to me, and before he said anything, I asked, "Is it a work question?" And he said I knew what it was about, and I said I wasn't available for a discussion at this moment. If he did not need to meet with me for a work matter, could he please schedule a meeting on the calendar and include read ahead to brief me on the topic of the meeting? He walked off. I felt like I was a bit of a jerk in dealing with it when maybe I could have told him to cut it out by text. But I'm also sick of dealing with this stuff at every job, and I feel like my patience to use my own time and energy to gently ask guys to cool it is worn thin. And I want to set the precedent that I won't engage at all outside of work hours or work accounts. Am I the jerk for sending that email? Edit. Looks like the overwhelming majority of y'all think I need to go to HR to get ahead of this. I was considering holding off to see if he cools it himself, but the way he came to my desk after being told off twice makes me think it's probably not the best idea. I'm going to forward the emails to HR, write up the conversations we had at my desk, and ask them to meet with me to discuss. Edit 2. I sent an email to HR this afternoon, and they called a meeting with me the same day. I told them everything, though there wasn't a lot to say that wasn't already captured in the emails. And they assured me I wouldn't have any more contact with him at work. They are going to meet with him tomorrow. They still not decided if he'll be fired or if he'll be moved to a different position where he won't have any reason to speak to me. I have a feeling it might depend on how he handles the conversation with them. I do feel good about emailing HR. I feel like, along with myself, I've possibly helped out other women by starting a paper trail if it turns out to be something he's done more than once. Edit 3. I went out to happy hour with a few of my female friends in my field to vent. And one of my friends told me she'd met the same guy at a professional conference, given him her business card with her phone number, and he sent her a nasty pic too. She just replied saying that it was inappropriate and she had a husband, and he said something about her husband not having to know.
Ooh.
So she had her husband call him and leave a voicemail telling him to not do that again, and then she never heard from him again.
Yeah.
I asked her if she'd be okay sending screenshots of the text exchange to my HR contact. She was, and she even wrote that she met him at a professional conference when he was representing the company. She gave him a business card for networking reasons, and he sent her an unsolicited lewd picture, and that she needed her husband to intervene to stop the harassment. I haven't checked my email again. I'm trying to leave work and not dwell on this anymore tonight, but it seems like HR will have even more to go off before meeting with him. And lastly, edit 4. He was fired. I don't know a lot of details. I have a follow-up meeting with HR soon. My coworkers told me he was escorted out of the building. One of my coworkers who sits near the HR office said they heard him screaming at the HR staff.
That's the way to win your arguments, is screaming at them.
During his meeting this morning. It's ridiculous how stuff escalated. Honestly, just last week I thought he was a chill guy. I owe a thank you to everyone who told me to report this to. I'd been on the fence at first, but I feel like the stuff was going to escalate either way, and I feel a lot safer not having to see him at work every day.
Yeah, we got a whole lot of comments here. Right. Jot's like, that wasn't luckily cut off. He did it on purpose, trying to get her into asking about it. And Jot says he probably should be fired, though. And Morgan says, not the jerk. Oh, geez, he keeps digging himself deeper. Ew. And Alan says, not the jerk. Play stupid games. Win stupid prizes.
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with everyone else and say that OP is not the jerk here.
Oh, my goodness.
This guy, I mean, it's just such a
What was he thinking? What was he thinking? I mean, it's one of those things where you need to read the room, for one. And two, you don't just immediately jump into like inappropriate and lewd pictures and stuff like that. And you take no as an answer when it comes to these kinds of things. She clearly wasn't into him and he just kept pushing. And that's really like, he made a lot of errors here, and the biggest error is like that he just kept not taking no as an answer and trying to dig himself into a deeper hole here.
Yeah, well, exactly. And like the fact that he's done this to at least two people, like it sounds like this is a repeated pattern for him. So it's
Yeah.
probably good that the company found out about this sooner than later and were able to, because
Yeah,
it's not good for anyone involved,
no,
for
exactly.
this.
It's a real hard thing when you have to deal with people who are making unwanted advances, and it's just not cool. Just not
Yeah,
cool at all.
I mean, my approach to this probably would have been the second approach, the second latest approach, where just like have Brian be like,
Please
"You need
don't.
to stop this."
All right. Our next letter is titled, Am I the jerk for telling my wife she has no choice in the discipline of my child? Oh, and Alan also says for the last one, he wasn't thinking, nobody called him on it before, so he just kept
Well,
going.
that's it exactly, and
Yeah,
that's why it's
exactly.
important to call people out when they do these kind of things.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he gotten away with it for so long, probably, like at least with two different people. So.
Yeah, at least two people. At least. So, my ex and I parted shortly after the birth of my 9-year-old daughter. We also have a 12-year-old son together. It wasn't a messy breakup in the slightest, she just fell out of love, and we still maintain an incredible friendship today. Co-parenting with her is easy, we have 50-50 custody, no courts involved. They spend a week with me and then a week with her. We live close by anyways, and they love this arrangement. My ex-wife and I both agreed on the way we would raise and punish our children should they misbehave in a way that stays constant and we don't have one parent favored over the other. It's good. That's good. No bad guys here. I've been dating this girl for around 7 years now, and she's always been amazing to my children. Last December, we got married, and things were fine up until now. Last week, my daughter stole 2 pockets full of chocolate from a little corner store, whereas my ex and I would have marched her into the store and returned the chocolate to the owner and apologized. My new wife took my children home, sat my daughter down at the table, and forced her to eat the entire lot by herself, making her brother watch. She continued to make my daughter eat even after she complained that she had a bellyache. My son told me when I got home from work. I immediately confronted my wife, telling her that my ex and I both had a system in which to discipline our children, and that she has absolutely no choice in that. That if she wants to punish the children, then she goes by our agreed upon methods. It keeps everything consistent, and I didn't appreciate her making my daughter feel sick. She slept all night and skipped dinner because of her stomach. My wife is extremely upset and says I can't expect her to be married to me and not have a say in how the kids are raised. I again repeated that they are raised is up to me and my ex, and she should respect and follow those methods. I got the silent treatment for a few days before she said that she just couldn't handle the sight of me anymore and went to stay with her mother. Of course, her mother is now calling me and saying that I'm the jerk and that I'm treating her as an unequal parental figure in the house and that she should have a say in how the kids are raised as well, considering she's the stepmom. I spoke to my ex about it, and she agrees with my stance and thanked me for standing up for our choices and defending our arrangement. Am I the jerk? And here is where things go down, folks. The update. Little update for you. Things blew up quite dramatically in the last 20 hours, and I've had a chance to have a talk with my kids about their treatment while I'm not home. As a lot of people suspected and warned me, and what I feared is that she has been using her own punishment tactics on my son whenever he misbehaves. This has included making him stand out in the sun on the concrete until she lets him go as a punishment for jumping in the pool when he was not told not to, ripping up his sketchbooks, punishment for drawing on his desk, and putting his hands in icy water, punishment for stealing an ice pop. My son only rang the alarm this time because it was his sister who was being punished. Again, I confronted my wife and she doesn't seem to find it a problem with her actions and claims it was all related to their behavior that he exhibited. Needless to say, I'm not happy and she's gotta go. All right, folks, what do you think about this one?
I'm gonna say that like with the OP is not in the wrong for stopping these punishment techniques. Now, I do think it's important for step parents to be included in
Oh, for
discussions
sure, for
around
sure.
consequences for children. And so she should have been, allowed in that discussing process.
Yeah.
But like, these are cruel. Like
Yeah,
forcing
yeah.
a kid to eat like a bunch of chocolate until they're sick, ripping up a kid's sketchbook. Like, I was a very creative kid as a child, and like that would have devastated me if someone had ripped up my stories or drawings.
Yeah, yeah. And Alan says they've been together for 7 years and this has never come up. Doesn't seem like a great relationship.
That was the thing I was wondering about. Is
Yeah.
the 7 years is like, is it that she's, now that they're married, is the first time, and it sounds like
Yeah.
probably she started imposing her rules on them?
Yeah, it could be that sometimes when people get married, they feel like they have different rights.
Different authority, yeah. Now, like, now I'm your stepmom, so I can punish you as I see fit.
Yeah, so it could be that she just started exhibiting these things, but I tend to agree there with Alan that this probably hasn't been going on just for the last few months. Since they got married, this probably has been kind of a creeping problem.
Yeah, well, and it does show an issue in their relationship if they haven't really, like, or either they haven't discussed it, or OP was like, okay, this is our rules, and she just decided to like unilaterally make a decision that no, we're gonna do things my way.
Yeah.
And neither of those is great.
No. And Morgan says, oh my goodness, I think this is cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah.
Traumatizing kids for punishment. Yeah, I mean, these are not like normal punishments. These are like...
Well, the stealing chocolates, having her return them and apologize is a very appropriate response.
Oh, for sure. Stealing is wrong, and you want to teach a kid that it's wrong to steal. You don't want to, I mean, this is like the whole smoking cigarettes. When you're a kid, if you were caught smoking cigarettes, you have to smoke a whole pack of cigarettes or something like that. I don't think that that's a good punishment.
And it doesn't really like address the real issue.
Yeah, it doesn't address the real issue. It just doesn't do anything except for like tie a physical punishment to something here. And I don't necessarily think that's the best way of punishing a child. And these are, really traumatic type of things. And yeah, maybe you'll stop the kids from doing it, but their kids are going to live in fear of the stepmom and being worried that what kind of new punishment is she going to concoct next here. So yeah, I don't think that's a healthy way. I don't think that this is a good approach to punishing kids, and they should have had a discussion about what they
needed
were.
Everyone to be on board a long time ago.
Exactly. There needed to be a discussion. There needed to be a discussion about how the punishments and how the kids were going to be treated so that everyone was on board.
Do you want to do tea time?
Yeah, let's move to tea time. All right, folks, it is tea time. You can guess what type of teas that we have if you want to.
Indeed. I think mine is pretty guessable.
Amber's is guessable, as always. Oh, and Morgan also says, not the jerk. OP didn't want the step-parent to go that far. Right. Yeah, I mean, exactly. So we got some jokes here for you.
Yes. All right, we'll see what we can find in Brian's super silly riddles today.
Yes. And so, I mean, this is kind of going back to that last one. Just let me know when you're ready. It's just kind of one of those things where it's just really frustrating to see two people not communicate very well.
All right, I got one. What did the coin say when it gets stuck in the parking meter?
What did the coin say when it got stuck in the parking meter? I don't know what.
Money's tight these days.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible. This book is awful. So, yeah. We both have mint tea, so hopefully if you had your guesses in before I say that. All right, let's move along to the next story here.
All right.
All right, is this one mine?
No, it's mine.
Okay.
You don't get to see my story.
Oh, it's because I haven't switched the screens. Yeah, okay. Now I've switched screens back. I was confused. I was like, why isn't Amber reading now?
I couldn't see. Am I the jerk for wanting to get married this year and potentially ruining her wedding? My best friend Shia has been engaged to her fiance Brett for more than 10 years. They have 7 children together, and every time they go to set a date, they get pregnant and the wedding is again postponed. Shia is permanently done having children and will not be having any more after a medical procedure. Shia is determined to have a wedding this year, but is hesitating on a date or venue. It's not going to be a huge wedding, just a simple garden wedding, because her brother is sick and having chemo and she wants her brother to be there and preferably healthy enough to participate. My partner Rox and I want to get married this year. We have been together 2 years and are not engaged yet. We are not sure how we feel about engagement as a concept, we just want to be married. Again, a simple garden or church wedding. We are a lesbian couple, but our church is very welcoming to us and would love us to be married there. Shia has expressed concern that I will take her dates. She hasn't set any dates. She feels I could wait a bit longer as she has waited so long, and to let her have this year to be flexible in as we will be in each other's wedding parties. Rox and I have settled on a venue, a garden, and are looking to book it. Am I the jerk for stealing a long weekend that Shia might want for her wedding without telling her first? Edit to add additional info. I posted a post where I was the jerk. It got taken down by the mods. I'll own that. I can be a jerk. It has nothing to do with this situation. She is very insecure about her figure after having 7 single births, and I totally get that. That's why her wedding keeps being postponed. Brett is super into the whole wedding and wanted to marry her from the start, but he's also the most fertile man in the universe and has gotten pregnant 7 times despite using birth control.
Yeah, that's a bit of a time.
Part of me thinks that she doesn't want to be upstaged by 2 brides with the same guest list in the same year. I also get that. My girlfriend and I are gonna make great brides. Not better than Shia, who is gorgeous, but maybe she thinks we are. Shia can be a bit of a diva, and that's one thing I love about her, so she will probably be a bit of a bride diva. And then the other update is just like saying not to be mean to Brett and Shia for having kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely inappropriate to be mean to people just because they have a lot of kids, right? Why would someone be that? So what do you folks think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I'm gonna say OP is not the jerk here. Like, I understand that Shia really wants to be married, but because she doesn't have a set date in mind, like, she can't expect OP to keep this whole year open for her. There's no guarantee that her brother's medical situation is going to resolve itself this year. And there's no reason why Shia can't push her wedding out.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that OP should definitely talk to Shia ahead of time.
Yeah, I think OP needs to tell Shia that she's going to book this venue.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have to, like, ask if it's okay. Because if she asks permission, then Shia's going to be like, you need to keep this year open for me. I think OP does need to explain her plans.
Yeah.
Say, this is what Rox and I are doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with her wanting to get married this year. And I think her friend trying to block off the whole year is a little much.
Yeah, the thing is, like, it's not OP's fault that Shia hasn't been married yet. And I certainly understand, the frustration that they're having because, like, they, of course, want to get married and they've had some issues getting married. And I think that it needs to be one of these things where she absolutely just has to set a date set in stone and just work with it and move forward instead of procrastinating and dragging her tail on this.
Yeah.
And Alan says, not the jerk, she needs to set a date and be done with it so they can work around each other. Yeah, exactly. Reading my mind here. So, yeah, this is just one of those things where everyone needs to kind of talk. Everyone needs to communicate. And then that will make everything a lot better. Morgan says, yeah, I agree, not the jerk. So for sure, just start working with people and communicate. Problem solved.
Well, that would end so many of these stories short if people just communicated.
Yeah, exactly. All right, our next letter is titled, Am I the jerk for refusing to cut my husband's nails and hair after he refused to cut my toenails when I was pregnant? I'm an African American and my husband is Jamaican, and when we were dating, I started cutting his nails, his toes, and hands just for fun. I am a very caring person, so it made me very happy to cut his nails while we were watching a movie or something. Well, when we got married a little bit before COVID hit, so on top of cutting his nails, I started cutting his hair as well because the barber shops were closed. I truly enjoy myself doing these things, especially styling his beard that I asked him to keep because I like the look. I never asked him to do such a thing in return simply because I'm a control freak and I like doing things on my own. All was going well until I got pregnant. I kept doing all these things for him. As the belly got bigger and bigger, I couldn't reach down and cut my toenails. So one day I was struggling to do it myself. My husband walks into the room and I ask him if he can help me cut my nails. His reaction was shocked at me as he said that he can never do that because he's a man. He can't operate nail cutters because he's a man, I guess.
Oh no, Brian. Oh no, you're in trouble now.
Yeah. I brought this to his attention that I've been doing it for him for years and I'm only asking because I can't do it myself. He told me that I can't do it for him because I can do it for him because I'm a woman, but him cutting my nails would be diminishing and I'm trying to emasculate him. His response broke my feelings because I truly thought that he would be happy to take care of me the same way I was doing for him. So I told him that I wouldn't be cutting his nails or his hair. Sometimes I see his long nails and it looks so unkempt and it drives me crazy. Sometimes he has an important meeting at work and I look at the hair and beard that need trimming, but I resist the urge to do something about it because he made me feel so inferior as a human being and wasn't the best feeling. All right, folks, what do you think of this one? Jerk or not the jerk?
I'm gonna say that OP is not a jerk. Partnership is about supporting each other.
Yeah.
And when one person can't do something for themselves, it's important for the other person to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's silly to think that like doing something nice for your partner is a gendered thing. Like as some of you know, I have kind of like tennis elbow going on right now, so I have trouble doing certain things. And so there have been times when I ask Brian to tie my shoes for me because it hurts my elbows to do so, and he does that. And
Yeah.
isn't like, oh no, you're emasculating me, Amber.
The thing is that, like we were saying, partnerships are about taking care of each other. And what's more, manly than, doing something good for your wife, Alan says, not the jerk. This needs no explanation. Yeah. And it's really sad when two people can't, work together and do things for each other because you're afraid of looking weak. And I think that the only thing more, weak than it looks really weak to be afraid of looking weak, And if that's what he's worried about, then I think he, failed in his mission. So I think it's sad. I really do. And hopefully they can work things out and whatnot. It's sad.
I think it's your turn to take over.
All right. So Amber's voice is getting hoarse. And so I, of course, have the voice that can keep on going forever. So I'll just continue reading here. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Walking Out of My Friend's Wedding? Okay, so my friend has been planning her wedding for nearly 2 years and she wanted me to be a bridesmaid. Some things have gone down over the last couple of years and a lot of her friends drifted apart. Some wouldn't be able to attend for medical reasons and she fell out with a few. Out of the 9 bridesmaids she had originally planned, only me and 3 other girls were attending.
That's a red flag for things. 5 of the bridesmaids disappear.
Yeah, they disappeared, Amber says. Day of the wedding was hectic, bride got overwhelmed, so myself and the other 3 bridesmaids basically whipped everything into order while she calmed down. Her hairstylist had canceled, so I reached out to a friend of mine and asked her if she could swing by last minute to help out. She did her hair, and apparently the bride didn't like it. The bands that she was using were coffee colored, not white, and she didn't have white. And the bobby pins didn't match her hair color, and the ribbons weren't curled right. At one point, she said to my friend, "You're an idiot." I'd heard enough. I understand that it was stressful, but there was no need to call names to someone who got all their equipment last second and drove 20 minutes to an event of someone they didn't even know as a favor. Not even paid work, although I did offer. I bet she wishes she had taken the pay now. I told the bride that she needed to calm down and she couldn't speak to my friend that way, but instead she just ended up yelling at me as well. I told her that we were doing all the best that we could while she called me pathetic and said it was outrageous that I'd been lecturing her on the most important and stressful day of her life. I can see why she lost so many bridesmaids now. I can't imagine why she's lost so many. She said that she had half a mind to cut me as a bridesmaid, and so I told her that I'd save her the trouble and left. Ooh, ouch. The aftermath was insane. I had 3 other bridesmaids calling me to tell me that I was a jerk and was so selfish I couldn't put up with a little attitude for a few hours because she was stressed. Bride called me crying about how I betrayed her and how horrible of a friend I am. Besides mother, who didn't previously have my phone number, called me on how disgusted she was at my attitude, even though my boyfriend says I could have sucked it up, and was a total jerk move to walk out like that. My stance is that, high stress or not, I didn't feel like she was calling my friend's name, or should be calling my friend's names, and I don't think she should have called me pathetic. Stress isn't an excuse to talk down to somebody, in my opinion, especially people who are trying to help you, but I could be wrong. So I guess she was acting like a bridezilla, though what I want to know is whether or not I was a jerk.
Yeah, so what do folks think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Well, you go ahead.
I'll go ahead first. I'm going to say OP is not the jerk. I think that second to last paragraph, the stance on high stress, really says it all. Like,
Yeah,
yes, I understand weddings can be stressful situations, but things are bound to go wrong, and you don't get to stop treating people like human beings just because
exactly.
you're stressed. Like, OP's friend came in last minute as a favor, and like, this wasn't a wedding she had been contracted for, so she's not going to have necessarily the right bobby pins and hair bands.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
all of this stuff is stuff she's pulling together to try and make this work last minute. And so the bride was just really super ungrateful and rude, and she had every right to be called on it.
Yeah.
And she basically told OP, like, I have half a mind to make you not a bridesmaid anymore. And so, like, OP was just kind of doing what she said.
Exactly. Alan says, not the jerk. Time for a few new friends and a new boyfriend. Yeah, I agree. And Morgan says, oh my, shocked shocked Pikachu face, not the jerk. I'm going to add the Pikachu there, Morgan. Hopefully you don't mind. It's like, oh, if you insult me, I'm going to insult you and then be surprised when you walk out of my wedding. I don't know about that one. I think I would not be surprised at all. So, yeah. All right, I think we have time for at least maybe one more. We'll see. Maybe we'll have time for two more. Our next letter is titled, Am I the jerk for not helping my neighbor with car troubles after she threatened to call the police on me? I live in a condo/townhome with 4 other neighbors belonging to our condo/property board. We all have our own driveways on the property. When I first moved in, my neighbor Jane, who doesn't have a car, said that we could use her driveway from time to time if needed to make space for snow removal. Well, I have 2 cars. Since the driveways are only one lane, one of my cars is always blocked in by the other. On one day, a few months ago, I wanted to take one of my cars to the car wash because it had been sitting there for quite some time. So I took car 1 out of my driveway, parked it in her driveway, and then I took car 2 out and then went on my way to get the car washed. Though I thought that since she had said it was okay, I would leave car number 1 in her driveway until I got back rather than putting it back in my driveway and having to move the cars around again when I got back. Well, when I got home, Jane was banging on my door furiously. She told me that if I parked my car in her driveway again, she would call the police. I was a bit confused because she had said it was okay. I ended up trying to be the bigger person and apologizing. I said I was sorry for the misunderstanding and that I wouldn't be using her driveway anymore. After that, she was very unfriendly whenever we crossed paths. Totally ignored me if I would say hello. Fast forward to now, she has a used car that she purchased. Her battery is dead and she knocked on my door asking for a boost. She had seen me give a boost to another neighbor not too long ago. She said that she was now running late for an appointment and really needed my help. I said, I'm sorry, I can't. I closed my door without another word. Another neighbor who knows about Jane's threatening to call the police saw the whole interaction and thought that it was a bit harsh and should have just helped Jane out and given her a boost. So am I the jerk? Edit, so I'm creepily watching and listening through my window. This other guy is helping her out. He got his booster cables ready and just slipped on the ice and fell. He kind of landed right on the fender of her car while going to try to save himself from going down, and now there's a dent in it. She is losing her mind and asking him how he's going to fix this. Just talk about biting the hand that feeds you. I was starting to feel like I was a jerk from a lot of the comments, but now I kind of feel like I'm glad that I didn't help. And for clarification, this was the first and last time I had put my car there. Another neighbor who doesn't have a car extended the same offer to us. I'm also friends with the previous owner, and they said that they had always parked one of their cars in her driveway, and she had never had a problem. They told me that they did this on numerous occasions during the 9 years that they lived here. I told them the whole story again, and they were surprised by her reaction. Also, where I live, snow removal is not a shoveling snow. It's a company that comes by with a big tractor and removes snow. Sometimes we can be waiting several hours for them to come. That's kind of why I didn't think 10 minutes would be a big deal when she had said I could park there while waiting for snow removal to come, which could have potentially been 4 hours. All right, folks, what do you think, jerk or not the jerk?
I'm gonna say that OP is not the jerk for not helping her. Now, granted, he probably should have cleared it with her to use her driveway in a
Yeah,
different
yeah.
way from the intended purpose, but he apologized for that. And, she was, really cold and, to him after that and
Yeah.
threatening to call someone to call the police over something like that. Like, if he had done this multiple times,
Yeah, if this had been a
the
pattern of behavior.
that would have been a little different. Like if you have a neighbor who's always like using your driveway and you talk to them and they just keep using it, but one time, like feel like threatening to call the police is an
Yeah.
overreaction.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything wrong for sure asking one time to be like, oh, hey, there's a misunderstanding. Please don't use my car in this
Yeah.
particular case, right? And she may have very specifically meant snow removal and
Right.
snow removal only, right?
And so OP, yeah, it wasn't for snow removal, so he was technically violating
Yeah.
the agreement they
Yeah.
had. And so she was within his right to say, I don't want you using my driveway for these purposes.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't, he's not obligated to then help her. And if people are kind of like mean and threaten to call the police on you, you can't expect them to help you. And I think that the whole thing about the dent like really solidifies that this is probably not someone you want to be doing favors for.
Yeah, like I can understand. Like I would, if someone had been jumping my car and they fell, I would. The last thing I would be worried about would be my fender, and more worried about them being all right. I would be like, "Oh my goodness, are you all right? I'm so sorry that this happened to you." And that's the kind of attitude that really hurts neighborhoods and neighbors when you basically threaten to call the police or demand people to repair stuff when it was just completely an accident and they were trying to do you a favor. So yeah, I would have a really hard time faulting OP here. All right. We'll see if any other comments kind of drift in here or not. So, and this next letter, I think is pretty interesting here. So it's a little late for Christmas, but we'll let this be our last story, and we'll go from here. Our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Not Liking My Present?
For ruining Christmas over not liking
Yeah, am I the jerk for ruining Christmas over not liking my present? Sorry about that. My mom died when I was 7. My dad married a new woman about a year later. My stepmom, who I'll call Dory, had a daughter much older than me. I'll call Kaylee. Kaylee, right? Kylie. My dad's explanation for why things move so quickly, because Dory and Kaylee... How do you say that? Kylie, sorry folks, were being evicted shortly after my dad started seeing her and they needed a place to stay, so I didn't know them very well before they moved in. Well, Dory never got along, and Kylie and I only lived together for a few years, and she was already in high school at the time, and she moved in, so we were never close. I chose to stay with the other family on breaks from school starting in high school and continued into college due to my poor relationship with Dory. This Christmas, I chose to return to my dad and Dory's house because Kylie had recently gotten married, and my dad told me that Dory really wanted a whole family together. Well, on Christmas, when passing out gifts, I only received one present from my parents. This was not something that was common in my family, as my dad makes a decent amount of money, Dory doesn't work, and Kylie and I would always get at least a few gifts for each other. Or at least get a few gifts. Kylie and her husband received multiple presents, and when I pointed out, I was told it was because they needed them for their new house and marriage. My present from my parents ended up being a hairbrush. That's right, a hairbrush. Dory then made a big deal about how she had forgotten the stockings and would have to get those set up and handed out. I assumed that meant that I would be getting my gift in a stocking. When I was handed mine, there was a jewelry box in it. I was very excited, but when I opened it, it was a golden K necklace. My name does not start with a K. When I pointed this out, Dory said that the necklace was clearly meant for Kylie, and she put it in the wrong stocking. I agreed, and it made sense, and then I asked Kylie if she got one meant for me. Dory said that there was not one for me. I asked if there was anything else she had forgotten, and Dory said, if there's nothing in your stocking, you clearly didn't get anything else. Ouch. At this point, I was frustrated and hurt and started to cry. My dad ended up yelling at me and saying that I was being ungrateful and causing problems on Christmas because some kids didn't get anything at all. He was mad because he said I caused a scene instead of talking to him after the holiday, and that I ruined Kylie and her husband's first Christmas together. I ended up leaving. Why did they even invite them along?
It's because Dory wanted to do this, wanted to rub this in Opie's face about how little she values her.
Yeah, I ended up leaving and going to stay with Grandma for the last week, last of break. However, sometimes Dory will still mention how I spoiled for ruining the holiday over not getting what I wanted for Christmas, and it really makes me feel bad about myself, so I have to ask, am I the jerk for how I reacted? All right, folks. What do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I'm gonna have to say not the jerk here.
And Jot says, a hairbrush?
Yeah, like, Dory is clearly doing this on purpose. She has something against OP, and she wanted to humiliate and belittle her.
Yeah.
And then, or set her up so she cried, and then use this as an excuse for, like,
Yeah.
see, this is why we can't trust OP. Like, she's too spoiled. Like, there's nothing spoiled about seeing your stepsister get, like, heck ton of presents.
Yeah, and then you getting a hairbrush.
And then there's a present in your stocking that's not even for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like Dory was pulling a power move. Time to cut ties, Alan says.
Exactly. That's what I would say. Like, and Opie's dad is not helping here either. Like, him yelling at her and being like, you should have talked to me about this after the holidays. Like, dude, if you can't see why this is inappropriate, you're not a very good dad. Like, I can see why OP wanted to spend all her time with other family.
Yeah, for sure. And Jot says, oh yeah, OP ruined Christmas when Dory directly called out how she only got a hairbrush. Eye roll.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not a reasonable way to handle a person when you're giving out gifts. I mean, for sure, a hairbrush might have been a partial gift, and like maybe if they had only gotten everyone like a cheap under $20 gift, that would have been acceptable.
It's still a strange one because, like, you know, unless OP specifically is like, I need a new hairbrush.
Yeah. If they were doing like, I mean, like a Yankee swap or something like that, where they each all buy under $20 gifts and then just pass them around, then that might have been like one thing. But this was clearly like Alan said, a power move, and like what you were saying, it just really just seems like a power move. So yeah. It's really sad that they were treating her this way, and yeah. So yeah, I think that's about all the time we have for today, folks. And Morgan says, yeah, ouch, not the jerk. So I thank everyone for coming today.
Yes, thank you for joining us. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It was a good live stream, a lot of great stories. I hope you folks enjoyed them. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, consider watching our live stream on April 29th. So yeah. So again, yeah, I think we probably have a bit of a delay, more so than normal.
Yeah, it seemed like it was really delayed today.
So sorry if things like kind of like replied very slowly. And Alan says, just the fact that Kylie's necklace accidentally ended up in OP's stocking says a lot. Yeah,
exactly.
And then she's also like at the end there, like, oh, by the way, if you don't have something in your stocking, then you didn't get anything.
Yeah, like, clearly, like, you're giving all these stockings out. You meant for Opie to have nothing. Like, it's very clear there. Like, who does that? It's like, here's your stocking.
Oops, I'm so sorry for accidentally giving you the wrong necklace.
But there's nothing else. There's not even a piece of candy in here. Yeah. Nothing for you.
Exactly. So yeah, thanks again to everyone. Thanks for watching. Really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the comments. So yeah, I guess we'll see you all soon.
Bye.
I'll just leave this on for a second and let people kind of filter out as they want to. We still got, yeah, everyone online. So Alan, Jot, and Morgan, thank you all so much for joining us. I don't know how much of a delay there is. There has to be at least like a 30-second delay. Everyone's probably like catching up, being like waiting for us to say goodbye. I don't know.
You can say bye in the chat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess I can say.
You usually do.